I have a history of low back pain. Throughout my early 30s, I would have very acute episodes at least once a year, normally more, and as is often the case with these things, it's a combination of genetics and lifestyle. My dad has exactly the same style of back pain I get, but I know lifestyle was linked too, because at age 38, I can now honestly say my back feels the best it's ever felt in my whole adult life since I've been doing the right things to look after it. So today I'm going to go through some of the strategies I use to help my lower back and keep it in good health, and there are a few nuances to the process I go through because my main sport is long distance running. I'm going to split the video into 3 parts, which is how I plan my running training to help my back, the mobility exercises I use, and the strength exercises I use. Let's get into it. First up, the running side of things. Well, by happy coincidence, it turns out the sport I love, ultra running, which involves lots of slow running, is in its nature good for your back. A 2017 study showed that running can improve the hydration, height, and strength of the discs in the lower back, and the beneficial effects of running were greater in those who ran longer distance compared to those who ran shorter distances. It seems that the rhythmic, high repetition impact of distance running is great for the lower back, and I actually think this is probably the main thing that's helped my back feel so good in the last few years. I use the 80-20 style of running, which means I'm running 80% of the time at a slow, easy pace, and then I do 20% of my running at speed. There is one caveat to all this though, and sometimes running makes my back hurt, but only if I've increased my volume or intensity too quickly. We all know we shouldn't do it, but we've all done it, and when I increase my mileage or my intensity too quickly, I start to feel it in my lower back. If I do, I quickly reflect on what I'm doing, reduce my volume, and then build it back up again slowly, and I'm fine again. With the mobility side of things, I like to put a particular emphasis on my hip flexors, adductors, and glutes, as well as the lower back itself. The best exercise I've found for my hip flexors is the knees over toes split squat, made famous by knees over toes guy Ben Patrick. It's a split squat where you put more of an emphasis on shifting your body weight forwards, so you go into full knee flexion on that front knee, which is great for knee health. But if you try and push your back knee up to the ceiling and really straighten that leg out at the back, that creates a great hip flexor stretch. I like to add load to this just by holding light dumbbells, and I do this in pretty much every warm-up for every strength session I do in my week. To loosen the upper adductors, in the context of helping my lower back, my favorite exercise is the seated good morning. I straddle a bench and just hold a light weight over my shoulders and then hinge forwards, keeping my back straight. So this is a hip hinge in that straddle position. Where I feel this most is the upper groin and adductors, and this creates a good combination of being able to hip hinge and bend forwards while maintaining good back posture. For the glutes, my favorite thing is a pigeon pose on steroids, the piriformis press up. This is a pigeon pose, but I'm working in that position, and that combination of stretch plus work is really great for the glutes and the hip joint. Another exercise I throw in which helps my lower back but is actually a hip exercise is the back extension. This is a pure hip hinge, so it should only be the hip that's moving, which is great for the glutes and the hamstrings, but I'm also trying to maintain a neutral spine, which helps to build some of the strength of those deep postural muscles. I do some loaded spinal flexion, things like the Jefferson curl, but personally I stay really light on this. I have overdone this in the past where I've slightly tweaked my back, so I stay very light. I think it's important that we teach our body how to flex, and we do this carefully under load so that we can do it day to day without worrying about it, but I am careful on this exercise. The third thing I think about for my back health is just strength, pure strength. It's quite simple, I just like to stay strong in general, and when I focus on whole body strength, I definitely have a lower incidence of lower back pain. For my lower back in particular, I do put more of an emphasis on my hips with things like squats and hip hinge movements, and then I strengthen my abs with hanging leg raises. But even things like having strong lats and chest can be argued that it will help create stability of the trunk and therefore the lower back. The things I've covered here isn't an exhaustive list of everything I do, but these are the main things that I've found help my lower back in the last few years and have prevented acute episodes. It's wonderful to have built the confidence back in my back again, but if you want to see my current strength training plan, I will leave that video with you here, and until next time, happy training.